Here is to do whatever we can to reduce the amount of EBT fraud in the country.
A nationwide effort has landed in Metro Atlanta Thursday and Friday and turned up at least 40 skimmers this time. A nationwide effort that has determined Metro Atlanta, by percentage, is the second most common place to find skimmers, just behind New York City. The investigation is very specific.
We're looking for EBT theft. We're looking at the stores that a lot of the consumers would use who are using EBT. We would see that in some of the dollar stores, Dollar Tree type places. You'd see it in a Walmart. So there's no telling what you're going to see, but we try and look at the analytics.
Take a look.
There's different models. Some might fit over the entire piece like that.
A Secret Service analyst shows us what the skimmers look like, what to look for, but most are easy to miss.
How easily can you put those things on?
Just put it on. 2 seconds, like that. That's how fast it happens. So what'll happen is they'll go into a store. This point of sale is right in front of the cashier. They'll say, hey, can I get a pack of cigarettes? Cashier will turn around, pop it right on, done. Just like that.
Authorities say sometimes it can be an inside job, but that's not common. This, they say, is about transnational crime rings.
The people who need the food most who are suffering, and it's a taxpayer that is suffering.
Yeah, as you guys heard, that was Fox 5's Kevin Stewart reporting. And federal authorities say if the numbers on the keypad don't line up or it comes apart easily, just walk away and find another credit card machine. It is not worth it. Well, thank you so much for streaming your headlines with us here on Fox Local. I'm Judea Murray, and of course, we're going to get you more news in a second. But first, here's a look at your afternoon forecast.
Good afternoon, and thanks so much for streaming with us today on what is my debut here in the Fox 5 Atlanta Streaming Center. I am here squarely in the middle of the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, where it is a busy Monday afternoon of news. So let's get you caught up. We are, of course, following the devastating events of Friday at the CDC, where a gunman opened fire just before 5 o'clock in the afternoon. I want to take you live to the campus right now, where there is a lot of activity. Not only is the Secretary of Health and Human Services there visiting today, but of course you still have a lot of police activity in the wake of what happened. Today, employees are also sounding off, a lot of them working remotely, as you can imagine, because access to the campus is still prohibitive, as it is a crime scene. I mean, after all, bullets hit many of the buildings there on campus, as we heard from the CDC director, as many as 4 of the agency's buildings, according to Susan Morales. There are also the employees demanding some stronger security, which is pretty understandable considering what happened, counseling services, and greater action against vaccine misinformation. You know, we heard about the shooter over the weekend and in the aftermath of what happened, that the shooter somehow allegedly claimed that the vaccine caused him a great deal of mental health problem, so that the employees now asking for a misinformation campaign against the COVID vaccine. Union representatives for employees also speaking out, saying they feel defunded and demoralized. A lot of feelings coming out after what happened. Our reporters have been all over this story since it broke on Friday. We covered it in the immediate happenings and, of course, in the aftermath. One of those people who have been front and center in our coverage has been Fox 5 Atlanta's Kim Loeffler, who's standing there on the campus right now. Kim, first of all, we know you spoke to somebody who was right there when this shooting happened, but just give us a sense of the environment there on the steps of the CDC campus.
Yeah, it's still really somber out here, Tom, even a little over 2 days or almost 3 days now since this happened. And as you can see, there is a growing memorial for Officer David Rose, who was shot and killed while responding to the scene here. But as you mentioned, I just spoke with an employee of Dance 101 that's here in Emory Point, who was coming to work to open the dance studio on Friday. She was turning right into Emory Point, right in front of the CVS, and she says she came face to face with the shooter, who has been identified by the GBI as Patrick White. Now take a listen to what she had to say, and in her own words, her recount of the experience.
I was on my way to work. It was probably about 10 till 5 p.m. and I was in the right lane on Clifton, getting ready to turn into Emory Point. And I was right by the CVS at the bottom of the steps of the exit, and I heard very loud bangs, but my immediate thought was, is there construction happening? What is that? And so I'm looking in all directions, trying to figure out where it was coming from. And the more I heard the loud bangs, I thought to myself, I think these are gunshots. So I'm still looking to see if I see anything. And when I look to my right, I see him walking out and down the steps, right towards my direction, gun up, shooting erratically. And I don't know if he's shooting at a particular person or object, or if he's just shooting, everywhere. So I didn't even have time to think. I just hit the gas pedal and tried to get out of there as quickly as possible. And honestly, shocked that he didn't hit my car, but very grateful for being able to get out and contact people that I needed to immediately, and immediately saw numerous police officers and law enforcement officers on the way, which gave me some relief. But even 5 to 7 minutes after leaving the scene, I could still hear the gunshots happening.
So you were on the lane, so it wasn't the lane right next to the CVS, it was the next lane over, right?
I was on the far right lane, right next to CVS.
Oh, wow.
I mean, he was probably 20 feet away from me.
And he was on the steps, right?
Yes. And on his way down.
Describe what he looked like.
I didn't catch his face. I believe he had on a mask, so I couldn't see anything, and it all did happen in the blink of an eye. But what appeared to be a blue shirt, I feel like black pants. But as soon as I saw that gun is when I immediately hit the gas.
And what did the gun look like?
All I knew that it was long and constant rapid fires. It was not a handgun, it was huge. And he didn't need to keep reloading, I know that, it just kept happening.
I mean, in the days since, just describe what's kind of been going through your head as you think back to the day, and you've had 2 days now since it happened. So how has that been?
Yeah. At first, it's been a roller coaster of emotions. I've had many what if situations, like what if I had already parked? What if I had already opened the studio and people were in here? It could have been a very different outcome. And grateful for my life and grateful that the people I know that come here every day are safe, but also praying for the people that did not get out. And it is a vision that will be forever ingrained in my mind now. It's ongoing right now, and I know that time is the only thing that will help. But anger too, anger that somebody could do something like this, especially, so close to home, and just trying to be surrounded by the people that I love and friends and keeping busy, and just praying that if people are suffering, that they try to get the help they need, and we just all need to be here for each other.
Well, and as we were talking on the phone earlier, tell me a little bit about, obviously we know what a safe space this is for all of us, but what has this space especially been like for you in the last, you came yesterday or Saturday, you said, to class?
I did. First of all, I've been here so long that it's like a second family to me, and I know it is for most people that come here. We're here almost daily, and we all know each other. It's like a second home. But my first thought when all of this happened Friday was that I don't know that I ever want to go in that direction again. It's too scary. But then as I calmed down and thought about it, I realized that I cannot let a person or an occurrence or situation take things away from me or the people that I love either. And I knew that coming here and being surrounded by something that I love to do that brings me joy would help me get through this, the next however long it's going to take to work on this.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just so glad you're okay. Yeah, thank you. Is there anything else you want to add or say that we haven't touched on you think is important for people to know about?
Be aware everywhere you go. You hear about things happening in this world. It's a crazy world. But when it does happen so close, just be aware. Take care of your friends, your loved ones. If you know anyone that's suffering, reach out. Check on people. and just love everyone that you can.
Tom, so as you heard, the Dance 101 studio closed on Friday, but it was back open for classes on Saturday and Sunday. That's actually a studio that I've attended for about 4 years now. And that was the first thing that went through my head when this shooting happened, is that was very, very close to the studio. They've had classes, people have been back inside, and certainly dance is something that is helping everyone there just begin to process this and begin to heal. But that woman that we spoke to did want to mention she wants to share her condolences for Officer Rose's family, and certainly thank him for his service as well.
Yeah, you gotta admire her bravery and courage, Kim, for speaking out about what happened. I mean, what an emotional roller coaster she must be on, even now, you know, more than 72 hours after this happened. You could see her hand shaking in the video that you showed us. And that Dance 101 studio, I know just because I'm familiar with that area, is like literally right across the way from the CVS there. So she knows that whole area. And to listen to her as she told you that she was making a right-hand turn into the CVS with the CDC right off to her left, and seeing the guy on the steps with his mask and the long rifle and hearing those shots. I mean, we played video of the shots just after it happened here on Fox 5, and the intensity with which they were going off, I mean, even rattled us here in the studio. One of our producers walked out. He was leaving work at 5 o'clock, and he heard the campus is right behind us. He heard them all the way over here at Fox 5. So I can't imagine for what this employee went through, the Dance 101 employee, and the courage it took her to just talk about, you know, the events that happened that day. And you're right. I mean, it's going to take her quite some time to get over this.
Yeah, and this really is a safe space for everyone that comes and attends this studio. So for this to happen, I mean, even for me being here covering this, to see this happen in a space that's a safe space for me as well is really challenging, and it's something that, you know, none of us ever thought would happen in this area. But as you mentioned, or as you heard her mention, you know, dance studios are families, and you know, we're certainly all going to be wrapping our arms around her and, you know, helping each other just begin to you know, move forward.
Yeah. Thanks for that incredible interview. Real quick, before I let you go, Kim, a couple of housekeeping issues. The Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr., there on campus today. I know a lot of employees at the CDC take issue with the Secretary and some of his moves. Some employees don't. I'm sure they're embracing his actions, but thought I'd point that out. And what about the day? So speak on both these things. The HHS director there. And we talked about that daycare center that's right across the street. Is that closed today? I mean, what became of the daycare?
Yeah, so the daycare center is actually just beyond that fence that you see there behind me. And we know that there were several children inside when the shooting happened. And we also did see some people out here protesting and booing when we saw two black cars pull out of the CDC here. And we also spoke with someone who was out here just to speak out against RFK coming to the CDC here today. I know our Deidre Dukes is going to have a little bit more on that a little later in the show, but there certainly were a lot of people that weren't happy that he was here following all this.
All right. Fox 5 Atlanta's Kim Luffler, who's been covering this for us all weekend long. Kim, excellent coverage. Thanks so much for joining us here on the stream as we bring our folks up to date on what's happening here in the 3 p.m. hour. Kim, thanks. We want to take you now live to this. It's a growing memorial. This is being held by the DeKalb County Police Department for fallen hero officer David Rose. David Rose, the DeKalb County police officer who lost his life on Friday, coming face to face with suspect shooter Patrick Joseph White in that CVS. A patrol vehicle there, presumably Rose's patrol vehicle set up. They're there to offer condolences. This is right in front of the DeKalb County Police Headquarters. Also the North Central Precinct where Officer Rose served. This was a standout officer, and in a second, you're going to hear some sound from when he spoke at his police officer graduation. And at this point, It's compelling sound and it's heartbreaking sound because they're coming from him. If you want to drive by this memorial, the address is 1960 West Exchange Place in Tucker, and we're going to continue to stay on top of this live and monitor events from there. So what do we know about the shooter who was fatally brought down on the fateful Friday afternoon just a couple of days ago, who opened fire on the CDC building? His name, Patrick Joseph White. The GBI now taking the lead in the investigation, haven't released a photo of him yet. And if you're like me and you're out on social media, and all the folks here in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, especially the streaming crew here, whose job it is to comb social media, you're going to know that there is a photo going around of who people are identifying as Patrick Joseph White at the Mellow Mushroom. Is that him? We haven't confirmed it yet, so we're not going to say so, but that is out there. He's 30 years old, and he's from Kennesaw. I spoke to somebody from Kennesaw who couldn't believe that it happened in his area, and couldn't believe that this person lived so close to him. And I'm sure if you talk to his neighbors, they're not going to believe it either. But we'll learn a lot more about Patrick Joseph White in the coming days. Investigators say that he was armed with up to 5 guns, including the long rifle that the woman Kim Loeffler spoke to, witnessed herself on the steps of the CVS when he tried to enter the CDC campus. He then opened fire across the street. He fired dozens of rounds toward the CDC. We showed you video here on Fox 5 in the immediate aftermath of the shooting on Friday of the impact of some of those rounds in the windows high above the CDC campus. So, you know, you're many, many, many floors up, and his rounds not only managed to make it to the CDC buildings, but the impact was pretty tremendous. Didn't penetrate, but the impact-resistant windows there stopped that. About 4 buildings damaged in the process. Officer Rose, as we've been telling you, was shot, and immediately after exiting his police vehicle, he was later pronounced dead at Emory University Hospital. White then later found dead, and it's unclear at this moment whether it was a self-inflicted gunshot wound or whether he was killed by responding officers when all this happened. The Associated Press is reporting that White's father spoke to them and said that his son was upset over the death of his dog, and then he became fixated on the COVID-19 vaccine, which he believed made him sick and suicidal. So as we look at this video from the scene of that day of officers, this is like minutes after this happened. You can see them stalking the CVS drugstore there and trying to get to the bottom of exactly what was going on. That whole Clifton Road corridor was shut down for so many hours as they worked to get the situation under control. Let's talk about the hero in all this, Officer David Rose, and his sacrifice. And if you think about it, just for a second, this could have been so much worse had Officer Rose not been there and confronted the gunman and taken him down. The intensity of that gunfire we heard, the people involved who might have been in the line of fire, the woman Kim Loeffler just spoke to, even customers inside the CVS might have been in danger had it not been for the first response of Officer David Rose. And I'm sure the DeKalb County Police Department would echo that. We hail him as a hero here at Fox 5 for his selfless bravery. He was just 33 years old. He had 2 kids. He had a 3rd kid on the way, and his wife was expecting. So what we know about him is that he was a U.S. Marine veteran, graduated from the DeKalb County Police Academy just a few months ago. So he was a new officer at the top of his class, a standout guy. He spoke at his graduation to his fellow classmates back in March. We have some of what he had to say, which, given the events of what happened and the fact that he lost his life, are so impactful and so compelling. And I want to share a little bit of that with you now.
I'd like to introduce the class leader for Class 138, David Rose.
morning, everyone. Honored guests, family, friends, instructors, and most importantly, my fellow graduates of Academy Class 138. Today is a day we will never forget. Today we stand here as a proud few who made it through one of the most challenging, demanding, and life-changing experiences of our lives. When we first walked through those Academy doors, we were 12 individuals from different backgrounds, different stories, and different walks of life. Some of us came from military service, some from college, some from different careers entirely. Some of us have dreamed of this moment since childhood, while others found this path later in life. But we had one thing in common. We wanted to serve. We wanted to be part of something greater than ourselves. We wanted to wear the badge, not for the sake of a title, but for the responsibility that comes with it. And responsibility is exactly what this job demands. From the very first day, we learned that policing isn't just about enforcing the law. It's about protecting the vulnerable, standing for justice, and being the person who runs towards danger when others run away. We learned that the badge we will wear isn't just a piece of metal, it's a symbol of trust, of duty, of sacrifice. It represents not just us, but every officer who came before us and every officer that will come after us. The role here was anything but easy. We faced early mornings, long nights, we endured physical exhaustion, endless drills, and tests that pushed our minds to the limit. We learned to function under pressure, to operate as a unit, and to trust each other when it mattered the most. We were broken down and built back up, stronger, sharper, and more prepared than we ever thought possible. There were moments when we doubted ourselves, moments when we wondered if we had what it took. But in those moments, we found something more powerful than fear. We found each other. We found strength in the person next to us, and the instructors who pushed us beyond our limits, and the loved ones who remained with us while we started the journey in the first place. But we also faced loss. Along the way, 5 of our brothers and sisters could not continue the journey with us. It wasn't because they weren't capable. It wasn't because they didn't want it enough. The path isn't for everyone, and that's what makes it today so meaningful. Those who started with us, who trained with us, who bled and sweat with us, they are still part of our story. They are part of Class 138, and today we carry them with us. Through it all, one person stood out as a guiding force, a mentor, and sometimes a voice in our heads that we didn't want to hear, but needed to. Instructor Jones. Sir, you pushed us beyond our limits. You demanded the best from us when we thought we had nothing left to give. You didn't just teach us how to be officers, you showed us what it means to wear this uniform with honor, integrity, and accountability. You reminded us that this job isn't about power, it's about service. It's about standing between chaos and order. It's about protecting those who cannot protect themselves. There were moments when we thought you were too hard on us, when we were exhausted, when you made us repeat drills over and over, when we thought we had already given everything we had. But now, as we stand here today, we understand you weren't just training us to pass a test, you were preparing us for the reality of this job. You were making sure that when we step out onto these streets, we are ready. Then when someone calls for help, we don't hesitate. That when things get tough, and they will, we don't break. For that, we owe you more than just thanks. We owe you our commitment to uphold the values you instilled in us. Today, we are not just 6 officers, we are 6 brothers and sisters, forged in struggle, united in purpose. We leave here knowing no matter what challenges come our way, we will face them together. Just as we have since day one, this is more than a career, it's a calling. And today we answer that call. To our families and loved ones, thank you. Thank you for the patience, the encouragement, and the sacrifices that you made so we can pursue this calling. The late nights, the missed family events, the stress you carried as we pushed through. This academy, we know it wasn't easy on you either, but you stood by us. You lifted us up when we needed it, and you remind us why we started this journey. We couldn't be standing here without any of you. To my fellow graduates, Academy Class 138, we made it. We are ready, but our journey is just beginning. From this day forward, we carry the weight of this badge with pride, with humility, and with unwavering commitment to serve and protect. So as we step into this new chapter, let's remember why we're here. Let's remember what it took to get us here. Let's not forget that we are stronger together. Congratulations, Class 138. Stay safe, stay strong, and always watch each other's 6.
run toward danger when others run away. That's what he said in that speech, and that's exactly what he did. Just some extraordinary words from the fallen officer himself, and made so much more heartbreaking given what had happened to him. Funeral and memorial services for Officer Rose have yet to be announced. In the meantime, there are 2 online fundraisers happening in support of his family. One is the official GoFundMe for the family, and another organized for his 6-year-old daughter. Both GoFundMe efforts we've linked to prominently on our website so that you can jump in and help. I'm just taking a look at our YouTube stream right now. So many people weighing in, expressing their grief and their condolences to the family, and thanking Officer Rose for his selfless service. So we're going to take a quick break. We're going to spend the next 35 or so minutes here getting you caught up on what's going on. We're live in the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom, where there's a lot of activity and preparation for our upcoming newscasts at 4, 5, and 6 tonight. I'm Tom Haynes. Stick with us here on Fox Local. We'll be right back. No, I think we can break them up since she's kind of talking about the shooting. We're on. Welcome back to the Fox 5 Atlanta newsroom. I'm Tom Haynes with you for the hour here on Fox Local and on our radio partner 107.9 HD2. Thanks so much for streaming with us today. We got a lot of news to get to. It's a busy Monday afternoon of news, so we're getting you caught up here. 2 members of Congress from Georgia are in town today up in Cobb County talking to business leaders, civic leaders about infrastructure and business that affects our community. But on the top of everyone's mind, of course, is what happened at the CDC on Friday. Fox 5's Deidre Dukes joining us from that event. So Barry Loudermilk and Lucy McBath, Deidre, both members of Congress who attended this event up in Cobb County, up at the Battery.
That's right. Speaking here this morning through the afternoon here at the Roxy Theater at the Battery in Cobb County, Tom, and Congresswoman Lucy McBath, who is a strong advocate of gun safety, proponent of fighting gun violence that we're experiencing nationwide and tragically on Friday here in Decatur. She spoke at length about what occurred on Friday, even as HHS Secretary RFK Jr. Toured the Decatur CDC campus. Here's what Lucy McBath had to say, beginning, of course, with remarks of condolence both for the fallen DeKalb officer and his family.
All right, Deidre, carry on. We see McBath at this event.
Tragic.
Okay, here we go. Let's roll it.
I want to acknowledge Friday's tragic shooting and the painful loss of a DeKalb County police officer. My heart is always with the families and the loved ones that lose someone to gun violence each and every occurrence. And so my heart is definitely with the loved ones of Officer David Rose, and I am praying for a swift recovery for his colleague who is also injured. As law enforcement continues to investigate the circumstances that led to this senseless act of violence.
Officer Rose, Tom, of course, survived by his pregnant widow and 2 young daughters. Just so many people devastated by this loss. As you said, even on YouTube, there's just been a tremendous outpouring of support for the family.
Deidre, we know that this was, again, a civic event. Did they advance this story at all? I know McBath is a huge, gun control advocate, given what happened to her son, and she sort of talked about that in her run-up to becoming a congresswoman here. But certainly, did she answer any more questions or talk about efforts on the federal level to address what happened on Friday?
She really spoke not specifically about this incident as far as efforts underway to fight gun violence, but she did say, touch on the fact that she herself knew just intimately, just because she, of course, lost her own son to gun violence in 2012, that she really was working firsthand in the world of politics now, which she said she had served as a Delta flight attendant for some 30 years, never imagining that she would be entering the world of politics, and was driven to do so upon the death of her son. She did say that she, in fact, now works on the behalf of all the families out there, all the people who she not only supports in her district, but across the country, in an effort to ensure that something such as this tragedy that we saw on Friday doesn't happen to any other families.
We know gun violence is the reason why I became involved in our political system. I never imagined I would become a member of Congress. I'm sure everyone has heard me say that 1,000 times. For 30 years, I was actually a flight attendant for Delta Airlines. So many of you know the story of how I lost my son Jordan, and how I have worked so hard to turn that tragic occurrence and that pain into progress for our families and all across the country. And in light of Friday's shooting, I want folks to understand that my work on gun violence prevention is driven by a desire to keep people safe while they're in school or in our churches or at work. It's driven by a desire to make sure that we curb this public health crisis that we're living with. It is an epidemic that claims over 100 lives every single day. And it is also the leading cause of death for children under the age of 18 here in America.
Yeah, and certainly, Tom, those are very stark numbers, but Congresswoman McBath did stress while she was here today that she continues to work across the aisle with Republican lawmakers in Congress, saying that she really has been able to do some work, make some strides in this area. And she said she continues to do so for the American people, but she says at the same time that she is concerned by funding cuts that she has seen taking place at the federal level. And here are some of those remarks.
My approach to this work is across the political spectrum. Democrats and Republicans worked together to pass the bipartisan Safer Communities Law in 2022. It was the first time in 30 years that Congress had taken active steps in finding solutions to ending gun violence here in America. While I am exceedingly proud of what we were able to accomplish since I first came to Congress in 2019, many of the federal investments that have helped us make progress on this issue specifically have regrettably been eliminated by this current administration. So funding for over half of federal gun violence prevention programs has been ended since this spring, part of a wider rollback of Department of Justice grants, which are deeply impacting crime prevention and victim services programs all across our great country. In fact, concerns about federal funding cuts and grant eliminations are raised during every single one of my interactions as we move around the district.
Can you join us at 45?
After making those remarks, Congresswoman McBath did not speak to reporters before leaving the theater this afternoon, and Congressman Loudermilk did not address Friday's shooting any details as he made his remarks here today, Tom.
The 11th Congressional District. Lucy McBath had a lot to say about the shooting. She talked about gun control and her view of it. What about Loudermilk? Did he have any perspective on what happened, or, you know, any reaction?
Loudermilk did not have any reaction, no public reaction, no comments or remarks during his appearance here at the Roxy Theater today. He stayed mainly focused on the issues of the economy, things of that nature. He was speaking before the Cobb County Chamber of Commerce, talking about the great work that's being done as far as improving the economic lives of Georgians here. But as far as remarks about what happened Friday, no, Tom.
Yeah, I mean, we know that that's what that conference was for in the first place. Technology, workforce development, financial services, healthcare, all taking place up at the Battery where you are at the Roxy in Cobb County. But great sound from Congresswoman McBath today, Deidre. Thanks so much for bringing that to us. Appreciate it. Want to talk about our weather now. Boy, it's been a gloomy day out there today. I mean, we woke up to rain this morning. It's been kind of drizzly all day long. Definitely, as I said, a gloomy start to the work week. Will it continue? That's the big question. We've been enjoying milder than usual temperatures for August anyway. Meteorologist Jonathan Stacy here now with our forecast.
It's just one of those days. We're cloudy and we are damp through the majority of today and into tomorrow as well. But a warm up is coming after temperatures have stammered in the 70s and low 80s for today. And by the weekend, there will be more sunshine, warmer temperatures as temperatures actually return to seasonal averages around a high of 90 degrees and fewer storms. So let's take a look at the forecast as we go through the remainder of the day. We will find that storms will fire up once again in a scattered variety, all pushed along by this easterly flow of wind. Temperatures stifled today will actually be cooler today than we were yesterday with a high of 81 degrees here in Atlanta. And this train of moisture will continue to roll from east to west across the area, even into the post-sunset period. Isolated showers overnight. First thing tomorrow morning, we'll have our eyes out to the west where more organized showers and thunderstorms will develop. They'll roll up I-59. Will they come as close as I-75? I think so, but it may be during the afternoon hours. I think the atmosphere will be a bit more buoyant tomorrow, giving way to showers and thunderstorms. They'll be arriving from the south. They'll flow from south to the north and to the east as we get deeper into the day. By Wednesday, rain chances are still up, but over the next 48 hours, it stands to reason that some neighborhoods could get more than an inch of rainfall. That'll help us all out, but then we can turn off the atmospheric faucet, at least turn it down to a trickle as we get into the second half of the week. A few rumbles of thunder as we get back into that summertime pattern. Temperatures once again flirting with 90 degrees by Friday and into the weekend.
They look like. Jonathan, thanks. I want to move you to Douglas County now, where apparently they can't get control over their budget because they overspent by $10 million. Who's going to pick up the tab? Apparently Douglas County taxpayers. Fox 5's Kevin Stewart live from up there. And Kevin, from what I understand, they're not too happy about that.
No, not at all. And first, I want to make a clarification that did come out in the public hearing that we attended this morning. The county did not overspend by $10 million. It's a complicated process, but basically they.
Well, how come that was in the
reason why the county
notes?
is wanting to? The reason why the county wants to is talking about doing an increase now is because things just cost more, just like. Things cost more for you and I. It's the same for the county, and that's why the county administration has gone to the county commission and said, hey, we need an increase of 30% or 3.7 more mills. When you take a look at the value of a house that say is $250,000, what we're talking about is more than $300 more paid in property taxes. If your house is assessed at $350,000, we're talking about $500 more in property taxes. That's something that people didn't want to hear at today's property tax public hearing. A lot of folks very upset, understandably, you would say, because they're saying, hey, look, you just told us that there's no deficit, we don't have long-term debt. They're saying the county needs to reassess. Take a listen.
Asking you right now to please assess your wants versus your needs. I appreciate the comparisons that he did from current values to proposed values, and it's $388 and it's this. I don't care. We do care if it's more, but we care about what you're spending it on. And it's asinine to ask your constituents to pay for your want and not your need.
I understand the long-term harm this level of taxation can cause, forcing people out of their homes they've worked decades to keep, destabilizing neighborhoods, and accelerating displacement.
Fluff made it very clear, fluff will not be shifted to our citizens of this great county. You all deserve better. We deserve better as a county. It's tight right now. I looked at the county administration who proposed these numbers. I said it'd be tight, but it'd be right, but it won't be on my citizens.
Now, there are going to be 2 more public hearings on this where people will be able to talk to county leaders. That's going to be next Tuesday. One is set for 10 a.m. The second one at 6 p.m. here at the Douglas County Courthouse. Tom?
All right, Kevin, 30% is a big load, especially in this era of higher prices, people having a tough time finding jobs. They just can't afford it. I understand that the rate went down a couple of times, but is that number, that 30%, malleable? I mean, was this hearing really something where residents could have an impact and have their voices heard?
Yeah, that's possible. When the county's chief financial officer laid out the possibilities he had for a 1 mil increase, a 2 mil increase, and a 3 mil increase, and showed how much that increase would change people's property taxes and how much money that potentially would generate. So obviously there's a little bit of wiggle room if they're going to allow to post those numbers to give people a broader view. So I would imagine that there's going to be some wiggle room there. When you talk to county commissioners, we talked to County Commissioner Martin Braxton for District 2, the Chapel Hill area. He says that, yeah, we got the message very clear. We need to tighten our belts.
Yeah, because you could hear the emotion in that one resident's voice. I mean, this is something that's really going to impact their bottom line. Property taxes are a huge issue, especially when people feel like their taxes are just going up and up and up. And whether the county overspent or not, a lot of them would prefer that, you know, they tighten on the bureaucratic level rather than continuing to spend and passing that on to the residents there. It's an interesting issue.
Yeah, one of the things that...
Yeah, go ahead, Kev.
I'm sorry. Yeah, one of the things that did come up was Douglas County has a bus system, a small mass transit system throughout the county. It's only a few years old, and it's been running at a deficit. I believe the number came up was $4 million, and said, hey, that's something that they need to take care of because, say, the county next door, Carroll County, has a mass transit system, a smaller system, and doesn't run at a deficit. So they're saying that they're going to look at certain things in the budget to try to adjust. So maybe that's where we may see where the county says, hey, we'll take another look at this, because keep in mind, everybody who owns a home knows that even if your rate is frozen or dropped, property values are reassessed and they don't go down. Property values go up. That's what we as homeowners count on. So even though your tax rate may not go up, you're probably still going to pay a little bit more in taxes.
Sounds like it's a give and
which
take.
is one reason why people get so upset when prices go up.
Yeah. No, I completely understand. And this is, something that's affecting people in many of the counties across the state of Georgia, not just where you are. But it does sound like it's a conversation at this point, and that there is some give and take between residents and county officials there. So we'll see how it winds up. And Kevin, we'll see you tonight on Fox 5 News with more information. Coming up after the break here, some kids got the chance to go for a swim at the governor's mansion. Why? We'll tell you right after the break. Plus, Chief Meteorologist David Chanley is going to join us with a look at your week-long forecast right here, right after the break. Don't go away. Well, summer is almost coming to an end, but Labor Day is right around the corner. Our warm weather is going to last at least, through September. Kids are still in the pool. They're still out at the lake enjoying themselves. So it is never too late to talk about drowning dangers. At the governor's mansion today, an event was held in conjunction with the YMCA to teach kids about swimming safety. Okay, so they did it at the Executive Mansion here in Georgia. Fox 5's Chris Rosenthal was there today. That must have been kind of cool. You're at the YMCA in Decatur now because the event is over, but tell us what happened there today, why the governor was involved. Was he there?
I didn't see the governor there, but YMCA did host about 10 kids from a local school, the Ansley School. And they came out. They got the chance to work with some lifeguards, get some swim lessons. Some of them were a little bit more comfortable in the water than others, as you can imagine. But they were really getting the ropes and getting the hang of it. But it was more than just for fun. It's really important that the YMCA really stresses how important it is for kids to learn how to swim. Here's an interesting and kind of sobering number here. For children 1 through 4, the number one killer is drownings. And for children 5 through 14, it's the second most prevalent killer for those kids. So it's really important that kids learn how to swim before they head into the water, before they head into the pool, lakes, rivers, oceans, anything like that. I spoke with YMCA a little bit more about this, as well as a emergency physician at Children's Healthcare of Atlanta. Here's what they had to say.
You know, kids every year drowned like all around our city, and what we're trying to do with the Water Safety Coalition and with the YMCA of Metro Atlanta is to bring awareness and help parents get in touch with the resources that could save their child's life.
And what are some of those resources?
So there's swim lessons that you can take. That's the number one thing you should do, is get your child involved in swim lessons. And if your child doesn't know how to swim and you aren't enrolling them, buy a PDF, so a personal flotation device, so that your kid is always safe in and around the water.
Drowning is the leading cause of death in ages 1 through 4. And unfortunately, every summer up until Memorial Day, we see these horrible drownings happen, and many times there's nothing we can do by the time they get to us in the hospital. So it's really important that swim lessons are pushed out, that kids get swim lessons, that they get, you know, all the knowledge about water safety, and this is one way to prevent these drownings from happening.
This is something you see personally in your hospital.
Yeah, unfortunately, every summer we see drownings, and it remains the leading cause of death in ages 1 through 4. So there's so much we wish we could do to make these not happen, and swim lessons are one way to prevent them.
And also flotation devices too, right?
Yeah, so making sure that it's a Coast Guard approved life jacket or flotation device, knowing that anything that you put air in is a toy, not a flotation device, not a safety device.
Yeah, that's right. You really got to make sure you have the right kind of safety device, not just those, you know, toy inflatables that we sometimes bring to the pool to have fun with. The other thing, the Sarah Lazarus, the Children's Healthcare of Atlanta physician, told me is that, you know, we often think of drownings kind of like the movies where people are flailing around and screaming, but oftentimes it happens very, very quickly. Before you know it, someone drowns and they're underwater. So you really got to be vigilant. You really got to keep your eyes on your children if you're in the pool or you know, swimming in any body of water out there.
Yeah, you know, just such critically important information, Chris. Not only the safety measures that you should pay attention to when your kid is in the pool or in a lake, but, you know, just how to prevent an unfortunate circumstance like that from happening. It's really cool to see the pool at the governor's mansion, by the way. I'd never seen that. You know, drownings happen when you least expect it, and usually at like a birthday party where, you know, there could be 50 people there, the parents are there, everybody's there, and it's noisy and busy, and a kid goes under and you don't even know it. So I'm sure they talked about things like that, and to just always, no matter what, have an eye on your kids.
Absolutely. I mean, it like I said, it takes just a split second, and it's easy to be distracted by that party. And you know, even in a public pool where you have a lifeguard, you know, the lifeguards, it's hard for them to watch everybody. So any extra set of eyes, you know, can help call out and identify a problem.
Yeah. Really, really great stuff. Even though our summer is kind of winding down, we still got a lot of warm weather ahead of us. And, you know, people go on vacation year round. So it's important information to always have at the top of mind, especially where children are involved. Chris Rosenthal at the YMCA and at the Governor's Mansion today. Chris, thanks. Speaking of warm weather, I am honored right now to introduce Chief Meteorologist David Chanley, who's making a special appearance on Fox Local today.
Well, hello there, sir.
We appreciate your presence. We're humbled by your presence.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yes.
This is day one for me on the digital stream, so I'm flattered that you're here.
The Tom Show.
And I appreciate it, the Tom Show, the Tom and David Show right now. Kind of a gloomy start today. I mean, it was rainy, and you know, how long is this going to last?
Well, we're kind of stuck in this pattern, right? We've been looking at this east wind, this wedge that won't go away, and now it's kind of a pseudo wedge. And when you get the late start with no breaks in the clouds, right, you don't get the big ramp warm up. But sometimes you do. You get breaks in the clouds, and we saw temperatures kind of jump up into the 80s. So what we're looking at there is Fox 5 Live Viper, I think. All right, let me do this. Let me broaden this back out a little bit here. And so there we go. That's what we're going to look at. So you see, we got quite a bit of precipitation out there, especially off to the east. And it's almost like a little bit of a sea breeze coming in off the Atlantic. So the folks out east of town, Eatonton, over towards Athens, Madison, they've been in the clouds, a lot more showers, a couple of thunderstorms out there. Everything's going to be down below severe limits. But what happens is you get some very heavy rain in short order because there's so much moisture in the air. You can feel it when you step outside. And even though we've had these temperatures have been fairly mild, or the dew point or the moisture content in the air has been fairly high for the past week or so. And then kind of looking back, you know, we had every day this month so far, except for the first day, we've been below average when it comes to the high temperature. All right, so let me just kind of jump over here for you and show you what's going on since we got these fancy weather graphics here.
Right. Oh, cool.
All right. Well, the airport's not black out there, but you get the idea. Temperatures there in the mid 80s, and that's been our high so far today. And we found that for the most part, I mean, look at your temperatures right there.
Incredible.
Well, look at the 70s. So see, that's out east of town where they had more clouds and more drizzle and light rain. And then where you don't have that, you break up and temperatures start jumping up into the mid to upper 80s. And here we are this time of year. Our average high temperature is 90.
So we've been talking about this like false fall. I mean, everybody's excited about the temperatures.
It's like fake fall.
Fake fall. Yeah. We want to know when we get up in the morning, because it has been cooler than the hundreds we experienced not too long ago. But when we have those nice sort of sunny and crisp mornings, it feels really soggy outside.
Well, the sunny, crisp mornings won't be probably for another 6 weeks or so. You know, I mean, it's
my mind's already there.
And so I mean, we're in September. So let me show you what this is. This gives you an idea, right?
Okay.
So
wow.
Well, that little squiggly line right there is what we call a trough. So you just think that this is like, it acts like a mini front. It's the dividing line. Real humid air is south of that, and to the north we're still getting some showers. But you look around. You know, there's no big systems out there to the west that want to come our way, and that's kind of usually where our weather comes from. Instead, we're just kind of tapping moisture coming in off the Atlantic. So look at the temperatures. See, look how you go up in the nation's midsection, and it's pretty hot, but then look what's up there across the northern plains. It's fairly mild. So we've kind of put a lid on really searing heat across the area. And the storm track there bringing up some moisture.
So summer still full in effect in other parts of the country. It's here too. Yeah. It's humid outside, but it is not as hot as it could be, I guess.
But here's the thing. We're going to break this thing down this week. We're going to see the temperature start to rise.
Oh, boy.
And as the temperature rises, the rain chance and so forth is going to decrease.
So much for fall.
So yeah, well, it's still summer. There you go.
Thanks for joining me
here,
David.
Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you on our digital streaming platform. Appreciate it. We'll see you tonight on the news. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back. I just want to thank you so much for joining us here on Fox Local on what is my first day on the air here digitally anyway. I'm going to be with you every day here to bring you up to date on what's going on. Going to put you right in the middle of the Fox 5 newsroom. I want to thank our radio partners, 107.9 HD2. Thank you for chiming in on what's going on today. And I will see you later today on the broadcast channel on Fox 5 News at 5. I'm Tom Haynes. Have a great